for Champ Bailey, and then also to sign John Lynch in the offseason. Well, you like the Broncos, though. This is pretty interesting, Phil. You fell in love with this. They're first in the league when you're talking about differential with the opponent this season in yards, first downs, and plays. Pretty impressive stuff. But this time, this play gets stopped by Raheem Brock. Now, back to that first 25th. What does that tell you?
Well, they are unbelievable. They can move the football either way you want it. Running, passing, all the numbers are good. But the takeaways, Jim, they turn games. They turn good seasons into great seasons. And that's what we talked about it earlier. You look at the Colts, their defense, 28th. We got to remember, some of these statistics are just about yards. They're 28th, but all the takeaways they get, that's why they're having a special season.
Second down and 17. They cross him up with a run. Tatum Bell gets down to the 22. It'll be third down and 7 on the way.
So as we watch this run here, Jim, but to answer your question, which I didn't do a very good job of, it's about pressuring the quarterback, takeaways. You've got to be able to rush it in all situations. The Broncos are not. They're just average when it comes to rushing the quarterback. So interceptions, fumbles, bad decisions, all that goes out the window.
Third down and 7. They'll go to the gun. Shift Smith over to the other side. Bell is in the backfield. Plummer pump fake, throws, and short of the first down. Tatum Bell for a gain of only 2 yards, and again out trots Jason Elam, looking for a 16-point lead.
Well, this crowd, I tell you, the expectations in Denver, they are rough. Every time they get down here, if it's not a touchdown, you always hear a little spattering of boos and the discontent from the Bronco fans.
This will be a 40-yard try for Elam. Mike Leach to snap it back. Jason Baker on the hole. Baker at one time was on the Indianapolis roster just about a month ago. Now he's holding for Elam, as well as handling the punting and kickoff chores, and Elam is true again. 30-14 Broncos, late third.
وقفة احتفالية هاتفة لبرامج يناير الرياضية على أوربت. الجماهير تحتشد استعدادا لاحتفالية بول كرة القدم الأمريكية للجامعات. فرق الدوري السعودي المتنافسة سوف تلقى ترحيبا حارا من أنصارها. المدرجات ستدوي تشجيعا للاعبي دوري كرة القدم الأمريكية. جميع التذاكر مباعة لكافة عروض الدوري الفرنسي. المزيد من الهتافات في الطريق تحية لعمالقة دوري السلة الأمريكي. الدوري الهولندي بحاجة إلى مقاعد إضافية نزولا عند رغبة الجماهير. أوربت خلال يناير، عالم من الرياضة.
You watch this game, it's not over at 30-14. It's not over, I'm not saying that. But I promise you, all those Colts starters, they're sitting on the bench, and they are already making mental notes about what they're going to do next week, how they're going to react to what's happened here today, and the planning has already started on that Colts sideline. Denver? No, Denver is here and now. Nothing's taken away from their attention, or nothing has, I should say.
Again, it's Baker on the kickoff. And it comes to Rhodes at the 5. Rhodes still on his feet, 32-yard line, and we have an update on the Jags. The Jags and the Raiders. Let's get it right now from Greg Gumbel in New York.
Jim and Phil, how about the catch of the day? Byron Leftwich, 46 yards. Watch Ernest Wilford pull this in. It set up a 1-yard touchdown run by Greg Jones. 13-6 Jaguars, but they have to hope that Denver stumbles if they have any hope of making the playoffs, guys.
All right, Greg, that was some magnificent catch by the rookie who opened the year with a magnificent catch in the back Buffalo. Of the end zone against the Bills. From the 31. Sorgi, again sticking with the short variety to Ben Hartsock. for a gain of 5, and let's go back down to Bonnie.
Well, Jim, of course, Sorgi's thrilled to be playing in the NFL, but he said his proudest moment in his football career was probably when he got a scholarship to Wisconsin. He said, you know, I grew up in a family of 5 kids. I knew if I didn't get that money, my family couldn't afford to send me to college, and I was just so glad to have that opportunity to further my education. But, Jim, he told us a great story about draft day you can catch on the other side of the
All right, Bonnie. Yes. Young man starry-eyed on draft day when he got the call from the Colts. Second down, it's Aaron Morehead that picks up the first. He was not sure exactly where he would fall in the draft, hoping to go late on the first day, if not spilling over to the second day. It ended up 6th round selection. When the phone rang with the family around, the only boy in a family with 4 sisters. His dad jumped at the phone. He saw it was a 317 number. He knew that was Indianapolis. Dad, give me that phone back.
This is my moment, Dad. But it was the telling of his story. He's so proud of his father. He said his father's his idol, his hero. Just the whole thing. Just meeting him last night, how excited he was. But again, when we said this, but the excitement of his teammates about him playing.
Number 73, offense. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
We'll set him back another 5 yards, but the excitement to know that he was actually going to be on the same team as Peyton Manning. He said the realization when it struck him, he said he just had chill bumps.
Yeah, and of course, I knew the answer. I said, what do people ask you the most? He goes, oh, what about Peyton? Everybody wants to know what's Peyton Manning really like. And he just says, you can't believe it. The work. How the joy that he has about all the work and playing, and it's rubbing off on Jim Sorgi, and what a great experience for him to learn how to work and learn from Peyton Manning.
On 1st and 15, it's Rhodes for about 6. Yes, he said he never thought anybody could put that much time into football. What he has witnessed from Peyton Manning, every last detail.
Just to tell you, there's the play caller, the offensive coordinator.
Let's keep this secret now. Let's get, he's got the whole roll down.
He laughed with his last night. He says, yeah, I'm going to put that thing up in front of my mouth, the play sheet, in honor of the coaches in the NFL who do it. He was kind of making fun of some of the coaches who stick it up there. But Peyton Manning, when he walks into the room, his presence is unbelievable. He takes over the room, no matter what the atmosphere, wherever it is. And he did it with us again last night.
We're through 3 quarters with the Broncos.
التالي
تواصل دائم مع الأحداث.
سؤالي سيد.
على الهواء لقاءات مع رجال الفكر والفن والسياسة.
القضية الأخرى سيد أو وجهة النظر.
على الهواء جس لنبض الشارع العربي وانشغالات الرأي العام.
مشروع.
على الهواء من السبت إلى الأربعاء في 6 مساء بتوقيت غرينتش على قناة الصفوة. من الرياض.
يدخل عليكم من جديد بقضايا وتقارير وأشياء كثيرة متنوعة ومختلفة.
نقولها ولا نخليها بعد شوي؟
لا خليها النايف.
طيب.
أنا أعتقد أننا عندنا خلل في بناء شخصية الإنسان.
احنا في 2004 الآن، الكثير منا يحب انه يطلع بشكل جديد متميز.
للأسف المجتمع السعودي ما في أي دراسات حول هالظاهرة.
عشان نناقشها بشكل مفتوح.
من الرياض السبت والأحد 5:30 بعد الظهر بتوقيت غرينتش على قناة اليوم. أحلى السهرات وأمتع اللقاءات مع نجوم الفن والغناء والتمثيل في العالم العربي ضمن برنامج جار القمر كل خميس في 7 مساء بتوقيت غرينتش على قناة فن.
It's a standing ovation for a January full of sports.
Friendly, huh? Friendly. Wickedly perfect. Coming Thursday to CBS. Starting the 4th quarter with a 2nd and 9 to go. for the Colts, trailing by 16. Jim Sorgi, the quarterback for all but 3 plays for Indy today. And Rhodes, did he have a catch? They rule it incomplete. Champ Bailey on the hit. Knocked it loose. And again, if you're just joining us, a Bronco win would set up in the playoffs next week. Denver at Indianapolis. They would meet again. However, if the Broncos lost, if Colts mount a huge...
Planning a trip down under.
No one comes here for holiday.
You live in fantasy land.
No. Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah, okay, good. Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah, haha, very funny.
Tough world, sweetheart. I mean, you're not...
Down 9. Sorgi's pass complete. Al Wilson all over the back of Ben Hartsock for a catch, but short of the first. 4th and 3, and they're going to bring out Hunter Smith.
Well, you talk about it, Jim. You know, if this does turn out to be a rematch next week, I know it went against Denver last year, but they're going to fall back on what they learned, why they lost 41-10 to the Indianapolis Colts in that dome. So they're going to make some, I think, some drastic changes, just guessing. And they're going to go in there with a whole different plan of attack. They won't be surprised. So I'm really expecting an exciting game next week.
Charlie Adams is back. He's earned another chance to run one back, but it signals for the fair catch. And it's a clean catch at the 9-yard line after a 41-yard boot. Another series premiere is Sunday, January 23rd, after the AFC title game, in fact. Get ready for a whole new kind of crime solving. 2 brothers, one's an FBI agent, the other's a math genius. From groundbreaking directors Tony and Ridley Scott, it's Numbers. January 23rd, it premieres here on CBS.
Well, for the Colts to get back in this, to ruin this playoff drive by the Denver Broncos, somebody on defense is going to have to make a big play. Sack the quarterback, cause a fumble, tip it for the interception.
14 minutes to go. That's all for the Broncos in the postseason. And Reuben Drones been stopped for the most part today. Had one 12-yard run. That one no gain. Gary Brackett playing today in place of Rob Morris, who will be back next week. They also expect Nick Harper and Dries Bashir back as well in the secondary. Just able to rest them. If there was a playoff game today, in fact, they would have been in uniform playing.
Yeah, so good. And I even talked about it, Jim. It's kind of like that mini bye week for the Indianapolis Colts. They've handled everything well. The game hasn't gotten out of hand from their point of view. They got some good repetitions by some backup players. They learned some information from the Broncos.
Rod Smith had all kinds of freedom to operate as Jason David gave him plenty of room, and Smith took advantage for 13.
Well, you said it right, Jim. The space. Look at the space that they give Rod Smith, and he does such a good job. He goes up in the air. He protects himself. He protects the throw from Jake Plummer, so it can't be intercepted, and he gets the first down.
4th straight game for Smith with at least 6 catches. First down for the Broncos again. It's Reuben Drones. Oh, he had open room. Lost his footing and able to just dive ahead for a gain of about 4. It was Rod Smith with so much attention, and rightly so, to the Colts trio of receivers and doing things this season that we had never seen before in the NFL, with 3 different receivers scoring 10 touchdowns each or more. Rod Smith and Ashley Lee both had 1,000-yard seasons for the Broncos this year. That's been largely unnoticed.
Well, because nowadays 1,000 yards by a receiver or running back, it's just common stuff. So it has to be something special. Record-setting year for Peyton Manning, 3 receivers, double-digit touchdown catches, all the yards. That's what we look at.
Second down, and it's Plummer short of the first. But the set of receivers, the 2, they're one of only 5 teams in the whole league to have at least 2 receivers. The Colts, the only one with 3. 2 receivers with 1,000-yard years. 3rd and 4 coming up. There's Marvin Harrison. Little action today, but did score a touchdown. And the Jim Sorgi 7-yard toss.
When I look at this game too, Jim, we were talking about it earlier. The one thing that's big, the Indianapolis Colts didn't have to unveil a game plan today. That is big. So there's not a lot for the Broncos. They're going to have to go back to last year to see what went on to get ready for a playoff game if it happens next week.
How much is Denver giving away?
Everything. They're trying. Hey, they'll have to come up with a whole new game plan. That's hard to do, but I'm sure they will.
Well, a timeout called before that 3rd and 4 snap by the Colts. Saw Reggie Wayne and Peyton over there on the bench. Peyton's playground with Harrison. 14 touchdowns coming in. Stokely, his 1,000-yard year. And Reggie Wayne, who went for a long strike and score today as well. I tell you, to be able to distribute the ball, keep everybody happy too. You know, people have no idea how the quarterback has to, and Peyton probably better than anybody at doing this, calculate in his head who kind of needs some attention right now.
Yeah, well, just look at those numbers. The 3 players, 1,000 yards, 10+ receiving touchdowns. In the last one, 5 with 5+ receiving touchdowns. And you're right, they are cognizant of numbers to a degree, and if they have to, they will switch receivers around to make sure guys get their catches when they get that opportunity. So hey, look, they're in situations that very few teams have ever been in the history of the NFL where they can get that done.
You know, look at the signal callers, the guy sending in the plays, going to sit it out during the defensive series.
I haven't seen many offensive coordinators take a seat during the game. So
you never saw Tom Moore do that, did you?
No. Tom Moore, I don't think I've ever seen him sit down, period. He is the king of pacing up and down the sidelines. There's Big Tom. He's a little...
Somebody, well, the Colts actually we're trying to call a back-to-back timeout without a play being run. And the officials are not going to grant that. But back to the trio of receivers. And you saw all the records. What's really neat, though, is that
there is no foul on the play.
Harrison had on the season the most catches and the most touchdowns. Wayne the most yards, and Brandon Stokely the best average per catch.
So what are you trying to tell me? Everybody's happy.
They've all destroyed other teams in different ways.
I can't keep
monster numbers.
I can't keep 3 kids happy, much less 3 wide receivers in the NFL. But you know, that's another thing to do today. Brandon Stokely hasn't really been part of this, so the Broncos, that's what they were nervous about. Brandon Stokely, the inside receiver, because he could go anywhere. And Larry Corey, the defensive coordinator for Broncos, says that is one of the biggest differences in this team all year. That inside receiver, you just can't deal with him. Hard to match up against 3 talented wide receivers in this league.
I've never seen a 3rd and 4 play from a team's own 28-yard line get so much attention for something that doesn't appear to be that important.
Well, Mike Shanahan, and if I'm not sure exactly what went on, but rightly so, that he wants a penalty if they tried to call back-to-back timeouts.
Plummer for Laley. Incomplete. Had his hands on it for a second. Jason David was back to defend along with Anthony Floyd.
If Jake Plummer throws it about 5 more yards, it is going to be completed. Ashley Lee, again, the speed, if you haven't seen him in person, you just can't judge it. And what the Broncos are doing, they're putting some thoughts into this Colts defense. You better back off our wide receiver because we're going to throw it long. And so if it does come up next week, that'll be part of the game plan.
Brad Pyatt is back to return the kick from Baker. Indianapolis defense makes a stand. And the Jags and Ravens and their fans can only hope and beg that the Colts offense can somehow muster a touchdown drive. They need a couple of touchdowns and a pair of 2s. 30-14. Fourth.
التالي
تواصل دائم مع الأحداث.
سؤالي سيد.
على الهواء لقاءات مع رجال الفكر والفن والسياسة.
القضية الأخرى سيد أو وجهة النظر.
على الهواء جس لنبض الشارع العربي وانشغالات الرأي العام.
مشروع
على الهواء من السبت إلى الأربعاء في 6 مساء بتوقيت غرينتش على قناة الصفوة. من الرياض
نطلع عليكم من جديد بقضايا وتقارير وأشياء كثيرة متنوعة ومختلفة.
نقولها ولا نخليها بعد شوي؟
لا خليها النايف.
طيب.
أنا أعتقد أننا عندنا خلل في بناء شخصية الإنسان.
احنا في 2004 الآن، الكثير منا يحب انه يطلع بشكل جديد متميز.
للاسف المجتمع السعودي ما في اي دراسات حول هالظاهره.
عشان نناقشها بشكل مفتوح.
من الرياض السبت والأحد 5:30 بعد الظهر بتوقيت غرينتش على قناة اليوم. أحلى السهرات وأمتع اللقاءات مع نجوم الفن والغناء والتمثيل في العالم العربي ضمن برنامج جار القمر كل خميس في 7 مساء بتوقيت غرينتش على قناة فن.
Denver, talk about the Colts triplets. Well, Larry Triplett says, that's me. Forget those receivers. From the 42, Sorgi and Indianapolis, and a mishandle. Sorgi falls on it. And maintain possession. Back to Greg in New York.
Jim and Phil, the Chargers are going to hit the playoffs on a high note. Here's the rookie Phillip Rivers, his first NFL touchdown pass, 13 yards, and a nice little dance on the sideline in the end zone there by Malcolm Floyd. 24-3, San Diego leads Kansas City. 6:44 to play in the fourth, guys.
All right, thank you, Greg. And of course, Rivers hasn't played this season, so good for him. He's got his touchdown pass, but who would have imagined before the season if you said Jim Sorgi will have more touchdown passes than Phillip Rivers, you know? He's got 2 today, the rookie for the Colts. And on second down, next play is not working out at all. Sorgi again with the 2 touchdown tosses. You know, the last player, and Sorgi does it today, but the last player other than Peyton Manning to throw a touchdown pass for the Colts?
So it would be somebody that was the quarterback before he got there. Jeff George.
I said the last player.
Oh, there you go.
It was Ken Dilger. Back in 2001, who, by the way, used to attend the Phil Simms Passing Academy. You don't even keep track of your own guys? Yes. Come on, my man. What's going on here? Ken Dilger is a tight end, a trick play for a touchdown.
He thought he was going to be a quarterback. He just grew to be too big.
And the pass to Mungro out to the 40, 4th down on the way. That was the last player.
And you know, I didn't have the heart to tell him he really didn't have the talent to be a quarterback. But it's
well, at least the experience down at your old camp down at Morehead
State, yes,
led to an NFL touchdown toss for a guy who's still in the league and has had a long career as a tight end.
Yeah, he's down in Tampa Bay right now, so you're right, he's had a long career.
All right, Hunter Smith back out. Charlie Adams, see if he gets another chance to run one. A lot of hang time, but Adams going to give it a go. And only for 3 yards on the return. For 42-yard punt. 9 minutes left. Denver looking for the...
This time, there are no exams to pass. It's only teamwork and determination that will make them national champions. College Bowl Week starting from January 1st on Orbit ESPN.
They're 3 career criminals with 1 shot at freedom. Now they're working for the feds who put them away. They're bad girls. Turn good. They're She Spies. Mondays at 9 p.m. Riyadh time only on America Plus. تفوق توقعاتكم خلال يناير على سوبر موفيز. فتاة تتلقى أكثر مما تحتاج إليه من نصائح في What a Girl Wants.
Why are you trying so hard to fit in? You're born to stand out.
Kangaroo Jack يوجه أكثر من لكمة.
Hey, look how tall he is.
Juana Man يسجل أكثر من مجرد هدف.
Yes, Juana Man. Whatever.
رجل شرير يحصل على أكثر من المال في Cradle to the Grave. صياد يأخذ على عاتقه أكثر مما يحتمل في Dreamcatcher.
What is this?
فاي دانوي تجد أكثر من الصداقة في ستانلي's Gig. كل هذه الأفلام الجديدة وأكثر خلال يناير على سوبر موفيز، بطاقتك إلى أحدث الأفلام. Good call.
All right, Denver just trying to run it out. We remind you, after the game, 60 minutes, except for those of you on the West Coast. Jim Nance, Phil Simms, Bonnie Bernstein from the Mile High City. And the Broncos have taken control here in the second half. There's a 20-14 halftime lead. And Broncos with their quarterback, Jake Plummer, throwing for 2 touchdowns, running for another. So Denver moving in on the final playoff spot. We still have yet to sort out who will host that Seattle-St. Louis NFC matchup next week, but there's still one open spot, and Denver is certainly close to sealing it here. 8.5 minutes to go, up 16. Time running out on the hopes for the Jags and the Ravens, who needed the help here today from Indianapolis. Wide open lane. Running with it is Reuben Drones. A little stiff arm and bumped out by Jerome Sapp. Dwayne Carswell just gave Reuben Drones the entire left side of the field to operate with.
You said that, Jim. Dwayne Carswell, number 89. He actually was a tackle up at training camp this year. Just pushing his guy right down the field. And the Colts, who love to get up the field to get after a quarterback in case it's a pass, they open up a wide running lane that time for Reuben Drones.
Well, that's the 6th play for the Broncos today of over 20 yards.
Dwayne Carswell, I'd say about a smooth 300 pounds at tight end. That's tough for any down lineman or linebacker to hang in against the running game.
And the march straight ahead with Tatum Bell for another 7.
Yeah, Tatum Bell, he's angry now, and I'll tell you why. Because after that first run, he went to the sideline, and I don't know what he did. I mean, he must have done something wrong, because Mike Shanahan was giving it to him. And I could see his attitude as he went back on the field, the disgust that he had with himself. So he went back in there. He's going to run hard and try to make it up to the head coach.
He's 11 yards away from a 100-yard game, which would be his second here in his rookie season. 2nd round pick from Oklahoma State. He slices in sideways for another 3 yards with 7 minutes to go.
And this is really, like you said, the Broncos needed a couple first downs just to kind of ice the game. And that run really just, it was just a tremendous example of what Denver does with their running game. The runner just kind of goes along. They see anybody fall or a little bit of space between defenders. They cut it right up in there. They've done it for so many years, ever since Mike Shanahan has been the coach. And no matter who's running it, they get it done.
3rd down and 1. It's Bell again and bouncing around. 2nd effort near the 1st, just short. Let's go back for another update to Greg in the studio.
All right, Jim and Phil, Atlanta's Matt Schaub to Brian Finneran with just seconds to play. 28-26, Seattle in the lead. The 2-point conversion, Warwick Dunn will come up just short of the goal line. Seattle holds on to win. They win the NFC West, and they will host St. Louis in the playoffs next Saturday, guys.
Wow, how about that finish? Thank you, Greg. So everything's all set in the NFC side. About to be here. This one could really ice it, get it away from the 2-score margin. As Elam tries the field goal. And he is good again from 40 yards. 33-14 Broncos.
وقفة احتفالية هادفة لبرامج يناير الرياضية على أوربت. الجماهير تحتشد استعدادا لاحتفالية بولوي كرة القدم الأمريكية للجامعات. فرق الدوري السعودي المتنافسة سوف تلقى ترحيبا حارا من أنصارها. المدرجات ستدوي تشجيعا للاعبي دوري كرة القدم الأمريكية. جميع التذاكر مباعة لكافة عروض الدوري الفرنسي. المزيد من الهتافات في الطريق تحية لعمالقة دوري السلة الأمريكي. الدوري الهولندي بحاجة إلى مقاعد إضافية نزولا عند رغبة الجماهير. أوربت خلال يناير عالم من الرياضة.
Murder.
What are you gonna do? Scream?
Jealousy.
Don't you wait! Visit! Sarah, I love you.
Violence.
Oh my God, it's Lynn.
Greed.
He's an Avenger. That's how this killer thinks. That's why he picks his victims.
And depravity.
Somebody else is living in my body.
They're all at home in Cinema City's Dark Corners every Wednesday.
تابعوا الأخبار مع الأصدقاء ستيف، إيدي، براين ولورين، الفريق الأكثر جماهيرية ومصداقية لأخبار الصباح الأمريكية. تابعوا الأخبار في فوكس اند فريندز فيرست من الاثنين إلى الجمعة في الأوقات التالية على أوربت نيوز.
Well, with that field goal, Jason Elam moved up the NFL all-time scoring list. Moved up with the boot to 14th all-time and ahead of Bronco legend Jim Turner, whose name is adorned here in the Ring of Honor up on the stadium. Jim Turner up there with other great names: Randy Granishar, Craig Morton, Billy Thompson, Frank Tripucka, Charlie Johnson, and others, as the Colts get the run back. James Munro to the 36-yard line. Inside of 6 minutes to play, and Denver will grab the 6th seed in the AFC.
This time, there are no exams to pass. It's only teamwork and determination that will make them national champions. College Bowl Week starting from January 1st on Orbit ESPN.
في 2005 ستكون أكثر تألقاً من أي وقت مضى مع برامج الأزياء، برامج المسابقات والبرامج الحوارية مع إضافة خاصة على وشك أن تحدث. ونجم جديد على وشك أن يولد على هوليوود، مقدماً لكم أكبر النجوم وأسرارهم مع الأفلام والتلفزيون. هل تساءلتم يوماً كيف هو الحال على الجانب الآخر من الكاميرا؟ عالم الأزياء، حيث تكتشفون كواليس أشهر دور عرض الأزياء. عالم الموسيقى، حيث تطلعون على آخر أخبار نجوم الموسيقى من خلال مقابلات خاصة. برامج وثائقية عن عالم الفن تجيب عن أسئلتكم. ولكن هوليوود هي أيضاً قناة الأناقة، قناة البرامج الحوارية مع أحدث مواسم البرنامج الحائز على أرفع الجوائز Inside the Actors Studio. تطلعوا في 2005 إلى نجمكم على هوليوود.
Day on the Shield. Vic and Shane go undercover to find a killer.
Going undercover as dirty cops. You think you can pull that off?
You can try.
But their catch is bigger than expected.
Hey, we got a line on the biggest Armenian mobster in LA.
I want to know every move you make.
I'll never forget what you do.
What about this money train?
I didn't do anything wrong.
How much money are we talking about here?
I hear it's big.
The Shield. Monday at 11 p.m. Riyadh time on America Plus.
Indianapolis from the 36-yard line. Broncos in back riding high, and
you know what I tell you when I see that horse? You know what it makes me think, don't you?
Can't imagine.
Why the long face? Just one of those random thoughts.
I'm glad I didn't guess. Sorgi dumps it over to James Mungro. He squirts ahead to the 42. Greg, I think you might have known that punchline. Let's go back to you in the studio.
All too many times, Jim, in San Diego. Larry Johnson from 2 yards out gets the touchdown for the Chiefs. It's a case of too little, too late. It's 24-10 San Diego, 2:10 to play in the game.
Thank you, Greg. There are some long faces, though, in Jacksonville and Baltimore right now as the Colts are 19 down with 5 minutes to play, and they needed the Colts to somehow come up here today with a win, not going with their full starting lineup. Sorgi steps up and gets hit when he throws it. DJ Williams hit the quarterback right when he released it. And here's tonight on CBS. The lineup begins with America's #1 news magazine, 60 Minutes, followed by Cold Case. And then Gene Hackman and Owen Wilson star in the network television premiere of Behind Enemy Lines. It's right here tonight on America's most watched network.
Good movie. One of the few I've seen.
Give it 3-4 stars, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay. Gene Hackman, it's always pretty good when he's in it.
3rd down and 4. Sorgi almost intercepted, and a flag is thrown. It'll be offensive pass interference, perhaps. What do you think? Kelly Herndon stepped in front of the receiver, Aaron Morehead. It's got to be on Morehead, you'd think. Looks like maybe they pick up the flag.
There's no foul on the play for pass interference. The receiver and defender have people right to the ball. 4th down.
Well, they're not going to go for it here on 4th down with 4:43 to play.
And it's the right decision by Tony Dungy. You're down 19 points. You know, you got a lot of backups in there. Just punt it away and let the game take its course.
Hunter Smith's average today. He had 162-yard punt taken away by a penalty. Loving his chance to kick in the thin air. And they stomp the Colts here and reset. They had misspotted the football, so they step back another yard. Charlie Adams is the returner again for the Broncos. Had one magnificent return. Nearly broke for the score. He warns everybody up ahead. Step away. Hunter Smith, the beneficiary of a generous bounce to the 8-yard line. How about Jim Sorgi's day? How would you rate it in the end?
Well, I still think it's been an outstanding day, regardless of the fact that they haven't scored in the second half. But he comes out, his very first pass in this game, right on target to Reggie Wayne. Gets him off to a good start. And when he was under pressure, I thought he made some excellent throws, good decisions, didn't force the football. And then the best part of all, the 2 touchdown throws. One to Marvin Harrison, one to Reggie Wayne.
Well, he started the game 10 of 13 with a couple of touchdown passes.
Well, he finishes up 15 of 22. Well, it's not finished. Oh, it's not over yet. But still, what an outstanding day. What a wonderful moment. Even though they probably will lose the game, he's still going to have some good memories from it.
Backed up Brooks Bollinger for a large part of his career at Wisconsin. Getting the chance here today. Let's go back to Greg.
Jim and Phil, the Kansas City Chiefs in a concerted effort to prove me wrong. Larry Johnson on the receiving end of a 14-yard touchdown pass from Trent Green. It's now 24-17 San Diego. Guys.
Look at Larry Johnson. Thank you, Greg. Larry Johnson the last month has just been a huge asset for the Chiefs, and it sets up an interesting scenario next year for that running back position. You know, you got Blaylock, who played well when he was healthy, and of course Priest Holmes.
Well, it's going to be Priest Holmes and whoever's next.
But that's the question. What will they do with those 3? Because all 3 of them have been very productive. Sap on that carry. Look at the AFC North with the Steelers. By the way, the Steelers today finished the season 15-1. First ever AFC team to win 15 games in a season. Colts take the South, Chargers in the West.
I'll tell you what, when you look at the playoff scenarios for the AFC, it is strong the 4 division winners. There's hardly any weaknesses when you look at the football teams. And then look at the wild cards, the Denver Broncos. They have been tough all year long. They only had a couple really down moments. And the New York Jets, they have the components on their football team to upset anybody on the road.
When you talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers, as Drones pushes it straight ahead for another first down, that was Sapp. You look at their 15-1 record, 14 straight wins. They get the week off. They get a chance to get everybody recovering. We've been seeing them so many times this season. We've done a number of their games, and they are a sore team, is the way it was described to us by Bill Cowher. You know,
well, it's their style of play too, Jim. The way they play, they're so physical on both sides of the football. It's going to beat up their own players, and they need the rest.
Ain't no 200 pounds.
But you saw the stats. Number 1 in the NFL defensively, 2nd in the league rushing the football. You do that, that tells you you have physical dominance on the opponents that you are playing.
This is down to the 2-minute warning. Plus that Steeler team, of course, their season highlighted by not only Roethlisberger and Bettis reemerging as a force, but wins over both the Patriots and the Eagles. 2 minutes to go, and we'll have the playoffs all set.
وقفة احتفالية هاتفة لبرامج يناير الرياضية على أوربت. الجماهير تحتشد استعدادا لاحتفالية بولوي كرة القدم الأمريكية للجامعات. فرق الدوري السعودي المتنافسة سوف تلقى ترحيبا حارا من أنصارها. المدرجات ستدوي تشجيعا للاعبي دوري كرة القدم الأمريكية. جميع التذاكر مباعة لكافة عروض الدوري الفرنسي. المزيد من الهتافات في الطريق تحية لعمالقة دوري السلة الأمريكي. الدوري الهولندي بحاجة إلى مقاعد إضافية نزولا عند رغبة الجماهير. أوربت خلال يناير عالم من الرياضة.
Take a walk on the wild side.
So unbelievable.
Or take it on the funny side of the street. With comedies every Tuesday in January on Cinema City.
تابعوا الأخبار مع الأصدقاء ستيف، إيدي، براين ولورين، الفريق الأكثر جماهيرية ومصداقية لأخبار الصباح الأمريكية. تابعوا الأخبار في فوكس اند فريندز فيرست من الاثنين إلى الجمعة في الأوقات التالية على أوربت نيوز.
Meeting again and meeting for the second straight year in the wild card round of the playoffs. And what makes you think, Phil, that this year, when both teams go full force, we see the full Indianapolis Express? What makes you think it could be any different this year than 41-10 last season?
Well, I think experience is going to be the biggest reason, Jim. I think the Denver Broncos are a little better at the running back position, even though they lost Clinton Portis. Reuben Drones and Tatum Bell as a tandem is tough.
Cecil Sapp pounding out some yardage as well. And again, next week on Sunday, Denver and Indianapolis, 1 o'clock Eastern time kick, and all begins next Sunday at noon with the NFL Today. A minute and 20 seconds to go, and just a couple of kneel downs to do it, as the Broncos did what they had to do all week long, knowing they were going to have to come in and perform. 60 minutes cold case behind enemy lines. They did not see Indianapolis at full strength. Tony Dungy going with the plan of waiting a week. And you say rightly so, no doubt. Executive producers of the NFL on CBS are Sean McManus and Tony Petiti. And our thanks to our coordinating producer of the NFL on CBS this game, Lance Barrow, and our director, Mike Arnold. All the crew, all season long, all the men and women of CBS Sports, over 100 games strong to this point as we close out the regular season. Pete Radovich, Steve Karasik down on the truck. John Paquette, Steve Murphy, our broadcast associates. Pete Calander, our technical manager. Jonas Einstein, our technical director. Audio supervisor, Ed Soltis. All the gang back at the studio. Greg and Dan and Shannon and Bomer and Eric Mann and Bob Mattina and their superb efforts. We look forward to marching straight on to the playoffs. Harold Bryan, our coordinating producer of CBS Sports. The whole team at CBS looking forward to playoff time, and it's coming up. The Denver Broncos take the final playoff berth with a 33-14 victory over the Colts. They'll meet them again next Sunday in Indianapolis. 60 minutes, cold case, and behind enemy lines. The lineup tonight on CBS. Mr. Sims, I will see you in Indianapolis. Denver and Indy, they'll meet again in the wild card round as the Broncos get it done today. Close out the season 10-6. Jake Plummer, big start, 2 tosses for touchdowns, run for another. We'll see you next week. This has been the NFL on CBS.
You could drive this car for 20 years, this one for a decade, or this one even longer, and you'd still have guaranteed engine protection. New Peak Global Lifetime is the only antifreeze backed by a lifetime guarantee, and its patented formula works on any